ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नमः श्री शंकरानंद नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलास महामोह सविलास महामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। It is shown here how Maya projects a variety of objects, projects the whole creation of diversity and multiplicity upon substratum which is Brahma, in a manner similar that the creative power in the individual projects a whole dream world. In the dream world we see impossible things. And they don't look impossible when we are in dream. In the dream everything looks all right. In a course of a few minutes, we might see the events happening over a number of years. We may see people who are dead and we may talk to them and not even, as though they are alive. And all kinds of things, we see ourselves having different body also. I might become an old man or a young man, or I might become a child, I might become something else. All of these appear to be all right in dream. Only when we wake up then we realize that it was impossible. So how the Nidra Shakti, that power of sleep, creates this dream world which is vast and varied and impossible. And so also when the Nidra Shakti can do, then what wrong of the Maya that can create this varied world? What does Maya create? The five elements, the space, air, fire, water, earth. And from there all the whole Brahmanda, and then different worlds, and different living beings in those worlds, and different objects. So thus Maya creates the entire universe consisting of different worlds, and with objects animate and inanimate. Then if Maya alone is the cause of all the creation of the world, and Maya creates the entire universe through these five elements, then why do we have the distinctions that some objects or beings are animate and some are inanimate? Some are sentient, some are insentient. What is it that makes this difference? The answer is, it is antahakarana, the subtle body. That where the subtle body is, the subtle body reflects the consciousness, and therefore it manifests itself as life. So consciousness or Brahman, as reflected in the subtle body, becomes manifest as life. And therefore we have those creatures who we call living or sentient where the subtle body is, and where the subtle body is not, those are called inert. Otherwise, it is not that Brahman is present or Atma is present where there is life or sentiency, and Atma is absent where the sentiency is not. Sentiency and insentiency are only the differences in the Upadhi and not in Atma or Brahman. And therefore, Chetana Achetaneshu Satchidananda Lakshanam Brahma Samanam. And therefore whether the objects are sentient or insentient, animate or inanimate, Brahman which is Satchit Ananda is Samanam, is the same in all of them. Vidyate Nam Rupe Prasak Prasak. And what distinguishes one object from the other is the name and form. What distinguishes one part from another part is the name and form, where the clay is uniformly present in all the parts, and so also in every living being, sentient or insentient. Brahman is Asti, Bhati, Priyam. Satchit Ananda is uniformly present in everything. Brahmanyete Nam Rupe Pate Chitram Ivasthite. Just as on a canvas there is a huge painting, and so many different things are there in the painting. As we say, there may be houses and the roads and trees and hills and all kinds of things can be there. There can be beings who are sentient and insentient in one painting, and how that pata or that canvas supports the entire world of painting, And so also this universe, which is comparable to a painting, is supported by or is superimposed upon the substratum of Brahma. Upekshanam rupe dve Satchidananda dhir bhavet. And therefore, when one becomes indifferent to the names and forms, meaning one realizes that names and forms are basically the upadhi, the medium through which that asti, bhati and priyam Brahma manifests. And therefore, every name and form really is nothing but Brahman, asti, bhati and priyam. Even a name and form is nothing but Brahma. Even though we say temporarily that name and form and upadhi which reveals Brahman, we may say that tungsten filament is a material which becomes a medium for electricity to manifest. But even what we call tungsten filament also is nothing but the modification of the same energy of which electricity also is. Except electricity is subtle and the tungsten filament is gross. And similarly also what we call name and form are nothing but Brahman manifesting as name and form. And Brahman in its own true nature of asti, bhati and priyam become manifest through the name and form. And therefore, upekshanam rupe dve, therefore doing upeksha, being indifferent of names and forms, meaning realizing that they do not have any great consequence, because the truth remains what it is. And so the essence of the content does not change regardless of the form in which it comes. Satchidananda dhir bhavet. In this manner, constantly one strives to shift the focus of attention from the name and form to asti, bhati and priyam. That flower is a name and form, but the flower shines and flower is agreeable or attractive. So there is asti, bhati and priyam. And thus, name and form also is beautiful. Upeksha does not mean that I have any kind of an aversion or hatred for name and form, or that I avoid name and form. It is just recognize that name and form is mithya, asti, bhati, priyam is satyam. And how do you do that upeksha? Jalasthe dhumukhe swasya dehe drishtepyapekshatam tirastha eva dehe sve tatparyam syad yasadasa. Just as when one is standing on the shore of a lake, and if the water is clear and transparent, how there is a reflection of myself. I am standing there on the lake shore and I see a reflection of my own self, where the head is down, so upside down is a reflection. And how I see that reflection, and still I do not have any buddhi that this is mine, that body which is there visible in the water is my body. That kind of buddhi, that kind of notion never arises in me. I continue to call this body standing on the lake, on the shore, as my body. So this is called upeksha. Just as in the mirror I see the reflection, I see the two. I am there and the reflection is there. And still it never creates in my mind a sense of duality, because in my mind I realize that the reflection is mithya. So when mithya is understood as mithya, then it does not create any division or duality. And so also when the names and forms are understood to be what they are, that the clay comes in a given form, and the form is the concept that is superimposed upon the clay. Thus when we want to understand the essence or reality of the form, we will find it to be nothing other than clay. In this manner, this is how one should constantly contemplate upon Brahman, asti, bhati and priyam that is present in every name and form. Now continuing the discussion with verse 95, Idanim sarvajana prasiddham drishtantantaramaha. Now in the verse 95, the author gives another illustration which is sarvajana prasiddham, that which is known to everyone. That kind of illustration is given again to make the same point as to how to do the upeksha, how to be indifferent to the name and form, and how to be different to the essence. So the verse 95 says, Sahasrasho manorajye vartamane sadaiva tat sarvairupekshate yadvat upeksha nama rupayo. Sahasrashah manorajye vartamane. Here is a person who is daydreaming, sitting there, and all kinds of thoughts and projects are going on in the mind. And so is daydreaming, creating variety of things in his mind. Sahasrasha. So Manorajya is nothing but daydreaming. So the mental creation. So how a person is sitting there creates so many things in his mind. Many times imagine himself in different situations. So you imagine yourself to be something other than what you are, an ideal you. As to how I'll be a wealthy person with a comfortable home, and then I have 3 cars and all, whatever, I don't know, whatever desires one has in one's mind. So very often it happens that we live in our own private world for some time. It gives an enjoyment. Doesn't matter whether I have an apartment or not. I can only imagine a 6-bedroom home with so many cars and so on and so forth. And for a while, so they say that also is a karma phala. Said, since you cannot enjoy the result of certain karma in the form of an actual house, you imagine in your own mind and enjoy it. But anyway, so how one constructs so many things in one's own mind. Thousands of things one may construct. Vartamane sadaiva tada sarvaihi upekshade. And even though sahasrashah manorajye vartamane, even though the manorajya or this daydream or the projections of the mind may be present in thousandfold ways, tat sadaiva sarvaihi upekshade. But then immediately we wake up from there, so it's all right, there's upekshade. I realize that it's all mithya. In fact, there was a character called Shekhatalli. And this fellow, he was just carrying one pot of ghee on his head to sell. And so, while he was traveling from one village to the other or to a marketplace to sell it, in between he was tired, and so he decided to rest. So he was resting on the side of a pool of water. And he was lying down, and all of a sudden his mind started thinking that I have one pot of ghee which I am going to sell, and that will earn 2 rupees. From that I can buy 2 pots of ghee. I sell them, they'll earn me 4 rupees. And like that he kept on projecting. And thus, how much money I will collect. And from there I'll buy a field, I'll buy a farm, and I'll start farming, and then I will have the crops, and I will have a house, and I will have... So in the beginning I'll have to rent the bullocks and so forth, then I'll have my own bullocks and my own house, and whole thing he actually created in his mind. And then this particular girl in the village, definitely then I'll be a rich person, and therefore I will propose for the marriage and I'll get married to her. And so on and so forth. This is how the thing went on. And then now she's pregnant, and now we are thinking what name to give to the child, And this is where a difference of opinion arose, So they were lying down in the bed, and this fellow says the name of the child should be this, and this woman says, no, I'm going to name him this. And that is how there was a bit of a struggle there, and that's why this happened. And what happened is that the fellow's pot on the head, he just fell down because of that, and everything went off, And so then he realized that the very basis for that whole creation of building castles, all of that completely broke down. But anyway, immediately you realize all mithya, and therefore, how you immediately forget about it. Sarvaihi upekshate yadvad. Just as everybody dismisses, all these mental projections, thousandfold they may be. Upeksha nam rupayoho tadvat kartavya. In the same manner also, one should realize that this whole name and form is not much different in reality from that projection in the mind. Although that is an individual projection, like daydreaming. And this may be a total projection, of Maya. And that way, of course, there are some differences that this is an objective reality, and what's going on in my mind is a subjective reality. And so they are not totally identical, but still, they are projections. In one case, projections lasting for a long time. In another case, projection lasting only for a few seconds or for a few moments. But projections they are. In this manner, this is called upeksha. Upeksha means negation. Negation of reality. So, we can give another example. Just as when I see an actor on the stage, I realize that this fellow is acting as a beggar. Suppose we go to the annual function of the school of my child, and I'm watching my child participating in a drama, and he's acting as a king. So I see the king all right, but in my own mind, who do I see? I see my own child. And how in my mind I dismiss that all the costume of the king. So that dismissal of the viveka takes place in my own mind. That even though I see the child wearing the costume of a king, how in my own mind I realize that this costume is mithya. And in my own mind I see the child. So this is how upeksha is done. Upeksha means just knowing the reality. Being indifferent meaning knowing the reality of that costume. And similarly also says here the teacher that Nam Rupayoho Tadvat Upeksha Kartavya. In the same manner, one is to do Upeksha, meaning one should recognize all the time the reality of the names and form for what it is. Now that same idea is further explained. Prapancha Vaichitre Drishtantamaha. Somebody would say that, how this prapancha of the creation has such diversity? So that diversity obtained in the creation is explained as an illustration of verse 96. Kshane kshane manorajyam, kshane kshane manorajyam, bhavatyevanyatha, bhavatyevanyatha, gatam gatam punarnasti, gatam gatam punarnasti, vyavaharo bahistatha, vyavaharo bahistatha. Kshane kshane manorajyam bhavati. Eva anyatha anyatha. Every moment that daydream changes. So every moment what I am projecting in the mind keeps on changing. Anyatha anyatha bhavati. So 1 second is like this, the next moment becomes something else. Like the dream also, or like the castles that I am building in my own mind, or the things I am imagining in my own mind, how those things also change moment to moment. It's never the same. Gatam gatam padarnasti, and what has gone never comes back again in my own mind. Vyavaharo bahistatha, bahi vyavahara tatha. Similarly also, this vyavahara outside also is like that only. So somebody asks, how can you compare the projection in your own mind with this universe? This is a tangible, concrete thing. And what is going on in your mind really has no reality at all. There is no tangibility there. How do you compare them? It says, well, as far as your manorajya is concerned, as far as your mental projections are concerned, anyatha anyatha, kshane kshane, anyatha anyatha bhavati. How that mental picture changes every moment. Every moment it is different. Gatam gatam punarnasti. In that mental creation also, what is gone by does not come back again. Vyavaharo bahistatha. Similarly also, this outside vyavahara also is similar. That every moment it is changing, and what is gone does not come back. Except that here perhaps you may have to pay a little greater, more careful attention to see that every moment things are changing. And that what is gone does not come back. However, the same fact remains about the experience of the world as it remains with reference to the things going on in my own mind. Tadeva vivranoti, and same thing is explained in the next verse as to how what is gone, it does not come. How every moment the picture keeps changing, and how what is gone does not come. So says the verse 97. Na balyam yauvane labhyam, na balyam yauvane labhyam, yauvanam sthavire tatha, yauvanam sthavire tatha, mritah pita punarnasti, mritah pita punarnasti, nayatyeva gatam dinam, nayatyeva gatam dinam. So if what is created in my mind, out of my fancy, if that keeps on changing its form moment to moment, and what is gone, what is past does not come back or does not return, something similar also is happening in our day-to-day world, experiences of the world. Na balyam yauvane labhyam. For example, the childhood has gone away. The childhood is nowhere to be found in the youth. Yauvanam sthavire tatha. And then when I grow old, even that yauvanam, the youth also is not to be found. So when the youth comes, the childhood is gone, not to come back. And similarly also the youth goes away, and the old age comes, that is gone. So here also, moment to moment there is a change. It cannot be that the child overnight or in a moment becomes a youth. So when the child becomes a youth, naturally, moment to moment the change is taking place. And what is gone does not come back. When the youth also becomes an old person, certainly moment to moment the change is happening. We may not note that change. To us we look the same, it's only when somebody else looks at me after 5 years, then they realize what difference there is. Or when we look at people. So when you come here to United States, away from your home, let's say in India, and you return there after 5 years, you see people, what a change that is. How everybody has grown old. Whereas when we grew up with our parents and with elder brothers and sisters, I thought that they were ever the same, They never change. So the mother or the father or the elder people never change, they're always the same. For all the years. Because we see them every day and therefore we don't notice the change. But the change is happening every day and what is gone never comes back. Mrutah pita pudarnasti, the father who has passed away again never returns. Nayatyeva gatam dinam, and also the day that has gone away also doesn't come back. Thus in our what we call the objective reality also, in this also this nature of the reality is something similar. That moment to moment it is changing and what has gone away does not come back. And similar also is a pattern in the fanciful creation of my mind, that it changes moment to moment. The changes could be faster, but changes are there moment to moment, and what has gone away does not come back. And therefore, dvaita kshanikatvam upasamharati, and so this kshanikatvam, how the world of duality also is changing moment to moment, how it is ephemeral, it is transient, and that is concluded in the verse 98. Manorajyad visheshah kah, manorajyad visheshah kah, kshanadvamsini laukike, kshanadvamsini laukike, atosmin bhasamanepi, tatsatyattvadhiyam tyajet, tatsatyattvadhiyam tyajet. Manorajyad visheshah kah kshanadvamsini laukike. This laukika means this world. Kshanadvamsini also is moment to moment changing. As they say, drashta nashta svabhavaha. It is changing and it is getting destroyed even as you are looking at it. So even as you are looking at it, it is constantly changing. Drashta nashta svabhavaha. So kshanadvamsini laukike. That is world, laukika, meaning this universe. Vidikshanadvamsini, also moment to moment changing. Manorajyad visheshaka. Please tell us, what kind of a basic difference is there between the world that we perceive outside and the world that we create in our own mind? What is the basic difference? There may be a difference of scale, of time and space, but as far as the pattern is concerned, as far as the nature is concerned, nature is very similar. The world of my mind inside also is changing moment to moment. The world outside also is changing moment to moment. What has passed away in my mind doesn't come back. In the world also, what has passed away does not come back. Swami, they come back. You yourself are saying that you are born again. So they say, when a child is born, say, the grandfather is born. Sometimes, that's what they say. Because the fellow looks just like grandfather. And so maybe the grandfather has a tremendous attachment for a grandchild, and therefore quite possibly he could be born. So the grandfather has come back. How do you say that the person who has gone back does not come back? The same person doesn't come back. In a different form he may come back. Assuming that he has come back, then also one who has come back definitely is in a different form. And so what has gone never comes back. There is always change taking place. So what is the difference between this world of our day-to-day living and the world in our own mind as far as the reality is concerned? It's also kshanadvamsi, getting destroyed every moment, and what has gone away never returns. Ataha asmin bhasamanepi tat satyatvadhiyam tyajet. So how simply we are able to dismiss that fanciful world in our mind, how we are able to dismiss that, knowing that it is mithya. Similar also is the characteristic of this objective world, and therefore knowing its mithyatvam. Ataha therefore asmin bhasamanepi. So even though the world is perceived, it is not that one has to destroy the world, or one has to turn away from the world in order to do the upeksha, to know its reality. Ata asmin bhasamanepi, even when the world is perceived. tat satyatva dhiyam tyaje. That's all. And so, what has to be given up is satyatva dhi, meaning this conclusion on my part that the creation is real, that reality that I impart to the creation is what is to be given up. That's all. I impart reality to the body and I call the body as self. I impart reality to my mind, a personality, I call that to be the self. I impart reality to every object and think that is exactly what the object is. The answer is that no, what appears as just a name and form is in fact nothing but asti bhati priyam. And name and form, if you analyze any name and form, it resolves into its cause, into its cause, into its cause, and ultimately resolves into asti bhati and priyam. Tat satyatva dhyam tyaje. Therefore, give the satyatva dhi, give the conclusion that this names and forms of duality is real. The reality which is given to the duality is to be given up. Nanu laukikopekshayam kolabha iti. Alright, why are you asking us to do that? Why are you asking us to give the satyatva dhi, meaning asking us to give the notion of reality in this to the duality? What kolabha? What is the benefit to be gained by that? Iti ashankya brahmani dhihi sthira bhavati. When you do that, then it is possible to have an abidance in Brahman. So mind will abide in Brahman only when the mind is able to see the mithyatvam of the upadhi, of every name and form. Otherwise the name and form naturally attract the mind. As long as names and forms are given reality, so long the raga, dvesha or attachment and aversions are unavoidable. And so long the mind will always react. It will look this way, doesn't like it, look at the other way. So what it doesn't like, it will want to turn away from. And what it likes, it will always want to get engaged into that. And thus, moment the name and form is given reality, the raga, dveshas, the likes and dislikes are unavoidable. And therefore, one cannot have any stability or any steadiness of the mind. So what makes the mind unsteady or distracted is likes and dislikes. And what creates likes and dislikes? The reality given to the duality. So tat satyatva dhyam tyaje. Give up the dhi or the conclusion that this duality is real. The name and form is the ultimate reality of a thing. No, ultimate reality of what is in the name and form is asti, bhati and priyam. And that is what is said in the verse 99 here. Upekshite laukike dhihi, upekshite laukike dhihi, nirvigna brahmachintane, nirvigna brahmachintane, natavat kritrimasthayam, natavat kritrimasthayam, nirvahatyeva laukikam, nirvahatyeva laukikam. Upekshite laukike dhihi nirvigna brahmachintane. So, laukike upekshite. When laukika meaning this name and form or upekshita meaning they are dismissed, meaning that one sees that they are unreal or mithya. That is upeksha. So understanding them for what they are. We don't have to do anything. All along there is no doing involved here. Upeksha meaning that being indifferent to them is not an action. It is only a perception of what really they are. That upadhi or name and form are mithya, they are an appearance. And knowing them as such is called upeksha. Laukike upekshade. This duality, the multiplicity of the name and form, when upekshade, when they are, and their reality is denied, or one sees them as unreal, brahmachintane dhihi nirvigna bhavet. Then alone it is possible that my mind will abide in contemplation upon Brahma. When can I contemplate upon Brahma? As long as I am contemplating upon a name and form, so long I cannot contemplate upon Brahma. As long as I am contemplating upon the color of the cloth and who has made it and what is what, I cannot contemplate upon the essence which is the cotton. As long as I am fascinated with the form and the design of a part, so long I do not contemplate upon the clay, even though it is very much there. So what actually is an obstacle to my being able to contemplate upon Brahma? only reality given to the name and form. That's all. So what's the obstacle? The only obstacle. What's the obstacle even in contemplating upon my own self? The reality given to this upadhi. This notion that I am the body, or I am the mind, or I am so and so, that notion which arises due to giving reality to upadhi becomes, that's what we call ahankara, becomes an obstacle to contemplation upon the self. And similarly also, what is an obstacle to contemplation upon Brahma? Only the reality given to the upadhi or name and form. So Brahma Chintane Dihi Nirvigna Bhave. Then, to the extent that I am able to see the unreality or mithyatvam of the name and form, to that extent in my mind they become inconsequential. There cannot be consequence for mithya thing. Doesn't matter to me in what form the gold comes as long as my attention is glued to the gold. If my attention is focused upon the design, then what design it comes into becomes important. In what wrapper the chocolate comes is immaterial to me. Unless I'm concerned about the wrapper, then that will become important to me. So in what wrapper of name and form Brahma comes, Sasti Bhati Prem comes, when this becomes immaterial, it doesn't matter whether it is a saint or a sinner, whether it is a black or white, whether it is man or woman, whether it is whatever it is, whether it is desire, whether it is a friend or an enemy, ideally, one sees. So there is a little poem there that is written by one Gujarati saint. So he had this rule or this niyama that on every full moon day he used to go to a certain temple. See, in India, one practice that is very common is walking. Padayatra is very common. So people, in fact, to take a walk to the temples, which is maybe 2, 3, 4 days, 15 days, 20 days, they perform this walk. And now it is, even that trend also is increasing. It's not decreasing. Hundreds and thousands of people are walking. So this is a Purnima day. It was auspicious to go to a certain temple of Lord Krishna. This is perhaps a story of a few hundred years, ago. Naturally, they didn't have roads like we have today. So they must be walking through the trails in the forest. And naturally there were bandits who were waiting for these kind of pilgrims. So one day, these bandits came and robbed him. Then he wrote a poem. He says, look, the Lord came to me in the form of the bandits. I didn't even invite him. Uninvited, he came to me in the form of these bandits. And unasked, he took away all my clothes and all my belongings, even my clothes also. How wonderful it is. So normally we have to go and make an offering. I didn't even have to do that. Normally we have to invite him. I didn't even have to invite him. And therefore, he could see the same Brahma in even the bandits, And any number of stories are there in all the saints all over the world. The Maharashtra saint, about him, Ekanath, it is said also that his wife was once making chapatis for him, and she would make chapatis and pile up, and then all of a sudden one dog came, a street dog came, he picked up that bunch of chapatis and ran away, And this person ran behind him, he said, wait a minute. So dog ran, he ran after the dog. So dog was scared naturally. He says, wait, stop. Oh Lord, stop. This chapatis, ghee has not been applied to this chapatis. So let me apply that, And so, it's amazing. So these are not just talks, these things are possible. These things have been demonstrated in the life of the people. And therefore he said that is called upeksha of name and form. In what form it comes, doesn't matter. In what form Lord comes, does not matter. It could be a dog, could be a cat, could be a man, could be a bandit, could be a friend, or anything. Brahma Chintane, so natavat kritrimasthayam nirvahatyeva laukikam tarhi jnano vyavahara katham. How does a wise man perform his vyavahara? When you say that the names and forms are of no consequence, then and how does a wise man, and all the time suppose his buddhi all the time abides in the contemplation upon Brahma, then how does he perform his vyavahara? So the second line of the verse says, Natavat kritrimasthayam nirvahatyeva laukikam. Natavat, like an actor. Krutrimāsthāyām. Krutrima means that which is unnatural. So, therefore, he deliberately has an astha. He accepts a deliberate identification with a given role. Like an actor also deliberately identifies with a role. How can you expect this multimillionaire, to act as a beggar? It's not possible. But he does. How does he do? He krutrim astha, it is called. Meaning, he has an identification which is just krutrim, just make-believe identification. And so, he accepts for the purpose of vyavahara an identification with the costume. And he acts as a beggar. And so also the wise man, like an actor, also accepts his role. That's how we have the whole incarnation, like Lord Rama is born as the son of Dasharatha. And then accepts that role and goes to the forest and does everything. He even cries and weeps and fights and expresses love, everything he does. Krutrima asthayam. And so he even forgets who he is. That also happens. And so devatas had to come all the way from the heavens in the midst of the battlefield. So when Rama found that Ravana was invincible, he was frustrated, disappointed. Then Brahma and other devatas had to come and said, hey, do you realize who you are? You are Achyuta, you are Param Brahma, you are none other than Vishnu. So really am I? And then he realizes, identity. And then he got back apparently all his strength and he was able to then conquer Ravana. All these roles are played. This is Natavat Krutrimasthayam. Like an actor assumes and gives reality to his role and plays the role. And so also Laukikam Nirvahati eva. Wise man, in spite of his mind, focused upon Brahman. As Gita says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shunicheva Svabhageja Pandita Samadarshinaha. How the wise people, Samadarshinaha, see the same Brahman. A Brahmin who may be pious and scholarly, and in a cow, and an elephant, in a dog, and a dog eater, in all of them, how one sees the same truth. Suhrun Mitra Yudasina Madhyastha Dvaisya Bandashu Sadhus Svabhya Papeshu Samadrashtir Vishishyade. In the 6th chapter again it is said, whether he is my well-wisher, or a friend, or a foe, or an indifferent person, he is a sinner or a saint. In all of them, the wise people see the same self. And therefore, seeing that self takes place even though the names and forms are there, and thus accepting the reality of name and form. Otherwise, how could wise people even teach? How could Lord Krishna teach Arjuna? No, that Arjuna is weeping for no reason at all. That's why there was a smile on the face of Lord Krishna. Tamuvacha Rishikesha prahasanya bharata. Senayor bhayor madhye vishidantam idam vachaha. Between the midst of the two armies, Lord Krishna said these words or gave this upadesha to Arjuna who was grieving. Prahasanya, as though smiling, knowing that who is grieving? Same Satchidananda Brahma is grieving, so he is smiling. How can it be? Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. Looks with a great wonder how Param Brahma is grieving and weeping and crying, and that's how Lord Krishna must be smiling. He must be smiling inside all the time, but sometimes the smile even came out at that time. And so, actually, if you don't accept this duality obtaining between the teacher and the student and everything, no vyavahara is possible. How in the battlefield of Mahabharata, in Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna, throughout Mahabharata, Lord Krishna advises Pandavas. Accepting Duryodhana as Duryodhana and Yudhishthira as Yudhishthira, and accepting all that reality that obtains the vyavahara, he advises them as though it's so important. And he gives as much importance to this reality, these worldly transactions as those people do. That's what Lord Krishna advises in Bhagavad Gita also. That you must joshet sarva karmani vidya vidvan yukta samacharan na buddhibhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam. When you go and work in the world, do not unsettle their mind. And similarly, the vidwan also should act in the same manner as the ignorant people are acting. Kuryad vidvam tasaschaiva chikirshu loka sangraham. So, just as the ignorant people are all working because they are all motivated by the desire to achieve things. And the wise man also is working among them without any desire to achieve anything and work with the same enthusiasm. Kuryat vidvam tatha, in the same manner also. And therefore, he acts as everybody else does. Everybody takes the role as real, and this person knows it as role. That's the only difference. So this is how a wise man also conducts himself in the laukika vyavahara. Nanu jnaninaha vyavahar abhyupagame vikaritvam prasajjeta iti asankya buddho vyavaharavattyamapi tat sakshyatma nirvikara iti sadushtantamaha. But is it not that when the jnani or the wise man also, when he is doing his day-to-day activities with the world and with the people, then he is eating, he is drinking, he is sleeping, he is doing all these things. So he is an eater, he is a drinker, he is a sleeper, he is a walker, and whatever it is. That means that he is constantly undergoing change. Jnaninaha vyavahara abhyapagame. If we say that jnani or the wise man also is doing this vyavahara or these transactions, vikaratvam prasajjeta, then you have to accept that this wise man also is vikari, meaning he is changing. Because unless a change takes place, how is it possible to do vyavahara? Unless change takes place in my movements, in my walking, talking, and how is it possible to do anything? And therefore the vyavahara or the transaction, the dealing with the world and acting in the world will require change taking place moment to moment. And therefore change takes place, even the wise man also. Then he becomes a vikari, he becomes a changing entity. How can he be Brahman which is nirvikara? How can you say that wise man knows the self as Brahman which is changeless? On the other hand, he is performing vyavahara which requires change every moment. So, how can he ever know himself as Brahman? Or, when he knows himself as Brahman, how can he perform this vyavahara which requires change? And so, then the answer is, buddho vyavaharavatyapi. He says, tat sakshyatma nirvikara iti. That all the vyavahara is going on in the buddhi, in the mind. Who is the doer? Who is the enjoyer? It is the mind where the doership is, the enjoyership is. And who is the wise man? Tat sakshyatma. He is a witness. And he says, naiva kinchit karometi yukto manyeta tattvavit pashyan shrunvan sprushan jighan ashnan gachan swapan shvasan pralapan visrujan grunhan unvishan nimishannapi indriyani indriyartheshu vartante iti dharayan. And so says the wise man, naiva kinchit karometi. I don't do anything. Indriyani indriyartheshu vartante. The sense organs are interacting with the sense objects, and that is what we call karma or action. So while seeing, hearing, thinking, talking, walking, eating, drinking, while all these activities are going on, even then, what is this perception? Neva kinchit karomiti. I don't do anything. So tat sakshyatma nirvikaraha. In short, he does not place his I notion upon in the sense organs or in the mind. If my I notion is in the sense organs, meaning if I am identified with the organs of action, then I become an actor. Then the hands are moving, I say that the legs are moving, I say I am moving. Hands are acting, I say I am acting. The eyes are seeing, I say I am seeing. And therefore, identification of sense organs alone creates the sense of doership. Or when I enjoy things, experience things through the organs of perception, then I become the enjoyer, experiencer. So on account of identification with the organs of perception, I become bhokta or the experiencer. On account of identification with organs of action, I become karta or the doer. He doesn't do that. He does not identify with the organs of perception or organs of action. He realizes that all this is going on at the level of mind and the sense organ. And nirvikara remains changeless. Meaning, he identifies himself with self that is changeless, the sakshi, and not identifying with the mind or the sense organs. Iti sadushtantamaha. This is explained by the Paṃcadaśī with an interesting illustration. Pravahatyapi niredha, pravahatyapi niredha, Sthira praudhashila yatha. Sthira praudhashila yatha. Nama rupanyatha tvepi. Nama rupanyatha tvepi. Kutastham brahmananyatha. Kutastham brahmananyatha. Pravahati api nire. Nire meaning udake upari pravahati api. Even when the water is flowing fast. Sthira prahudash adaha sthira prahudashilayatha. So imagine a stream of water. So water is flowing and there is a shila. There is a praudha shila. A huge big rock is there under the water. So water is flowing over this rock. And that is not an ordinary rock. Prahudashilayatha, a big huge rock is there underneath the water. And the water is flowing on the top of it. You go anywhere or take a walk within 1 or 2 miles, you see a number of streams. Just go at 2 or 3, 4 miles and you see a big fall, a beautiful fall. So a couple of falls I saw in last few days. So how the water is flowing over those big rocks? So there are stones and the water is flowing above them. And so what's the relationship? How that rock remains completely changeless in spite of the water constantly flowing on that. Pravahati api nire, even though the water is flowing, adaha sthira prahudashilayatha, just as that huge steady rock, how it remains sthira or steady, unchanging. Nam rupa anyatha tvepi kutastham brahmananyatha. And similarly also names and forms keep on changing. But Brahma, which is kutastham, changeless, it remains like that rock. Like you make this pot out of a clay and the form keeps changing. Now it's a pot and then you break it, then it becomes something else, and you break it and becomes, the form keeps on changing. How the clay remains ever the same, changeless. Or even better than that, nowadays we can give the example of a movie. How there is a movie screen on which variety of things are being played. So now some battle is going on there, then some scene of love is going on there, and all kinds of things are going on. And how that movie screen remains totally unchanged, unaffected. Similarly also, nama rupa anyatha tvepi. And similarly also the names and forms constantly changing. Evam buddhau samsarantyapi na jnani samsarati. And so also the buddhi of the mind constantly changes, like that water. So the flow of water is a beautiful illustration to illustrate the mind. How the water is flowing, making a little sound, and the little wavelets it keeps on flowing. And so also what we call the mind keeps on flowing like a stream of water, where thoughts arising and subsiding, and this flow takes place. But when can that flow take place? Only when there is a bedrock which itself does not change. And so also the flow of these thoughts goes on, constantly takes place when there is a changeless bedrock of awareness of Brahman. Evam buddhau samsarantyapi na jnani samsarati. Thus, the buddhi, the mind keeps changing. The body keeps changing. The sense organs keep changing. All these changes are comparable to the water flowing over a rock. Kutastham brahma na anyatha. How the rock remains the same. How the water keeps changing. And so also Brahma, the self, asti bhati priyam, satchit ananda, ever remains the same, regardless of what changes are taking place in the upadhi. Maya adhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. Lord Krishna says that I am adhyaksha. In my very presence, the prakriti, the matter, or this maya, creates the world, sustains it and dissolves it, all in my presence. He remains just of the nature of presence, changeless, immovable. Kutastha nityaha sthanahu achaloyam sanatanaha. He is changeless, eternal, or indestructible. Achalaha, immobile, motionless. Sanatanaha, ever the same. So thus, Brahma, that is Kutastham, it doesn't change at all. Nanu akhande brahmani tad vilakshanasya jagatah katham avhasanam. hey, wait a minute, this Brahma is akhandam, indivisible. Brahma is akhandam, akhande brahmani. Khanda means division. Brahma is what? Indivisible or undivided. So Brahman, that is uniform, homogeneous or undivided. Tad vilakshanasya jagataha katham avabhasanam. How can it be that the world, which is constantly changing, which is various, which is diverse, how is it possible that Brahman, which is diverse, constantly changing, appear upon Brahman that is changeless, that is same, homogeneous, uniform? How is it possible? Katham avabhasanam nischidre. So, if the movies were there, the one example would have served many purposes. But here the author keeps giving nice examples. So the day-to-day beautiful example, old-fashioned, he gives. To show, of course, Kutastha, that anvil itself is an example which is often given. How the anvil, which is changeless, and the ornaments come and they get shaped on the anvil. Other ornament comes, they also get shaped, and how the anvil ever remains the same, supporting the change. That ornament could not have been formed unless the anvil supporting the change itself remains changeless. Here, of course, the author said, how that rock supporting that water upon which the water flows constantly remains ever the same. Now, another question is, how is it possible that Brahman, which is one, upon that, how can there be appearance of many? Brahman, which is changeless, how can there be upon that the appearance of change? Brahman is motionless, how can there be appearance of motion? So, world which is totally different, how can that appearance of world be upon Brahman which is such? Iti ashinkya. This is the doubt. Nischidre darpane savakasha vastunah yatha bhanam tadvat. Now gives the example of a mirror. Nischidre darpane. A mirror that is plain and without any holes or without any apertures or without any... so plain and simple mirror. Savakasha vastunah yatha bhanam. Upon the mirror. Or imagine the surface of a huge lake. Imagine that the water of the lake is transparent and is calm, and how the whole sky, along with the stars and along with the clouds and along with the moon, how the whole sky gets reflected in that pool of water. Sometimes when you are in Rishikesh, you can see in the Ganges, although not like that, but the Ganges you can see when the moon is there, like the full moon, you can see like a silver screen on the surface of the Ganges. The whole becomes the water reflects that moon and becomes silvery. We imagine the water which is transparent, quiet, tranquil. In that water, how you see the whole sky with its clouds and the stars and the moon and satellites and whatever, how it all gets reflected. Or imagine the mirror which doesn't have any depth, which is only two-dimensional, and which doesn't have any holes in there. Even then, how the mirror becomes a substratum for the perception of the world, which is altogether different from that. Tadvat. So that is the example given in the verse 101. Nischidre darpane bhati, nischidre darpane bhati, vastu garbham bruhadviyat, vastu garbham bruhadviyat, satchid ghane tatha nana, satchid ghane tatha nana, jagad garbhamidam viyat, jagad garbhamidam viyat. The first line of the first verse of Dakshinamurti Stotra, Vishwam darpana dushyamana nagare tulyam. So that Shankaracharya compares the Vishwa, the creation, as a city seen in a mirror. So in India we have all these the roadside shops where they sell cigarettes and pan and stuff like that. Sometimes a huge mirror, just meant for the people's entertainment, because when you wait in line when he's making this pan, so it may take 1 or 2 minutes. That time the fellows look in the mirror and do things, whatever. So when you are standing in front of that mirror, You see a whole city in there. You see the road and the movement of the vehicles and the houses and all sorts of things you see in that mirror. Nischidre darpane, in the mirror which is without any holes or without any divisions. Vastu garbham bruhadvyat, how that whole sky containing, as I say, the clouds and the stars and everything, how it gets reflected in the mirror. Tatha, in the same manner, Satchit Ghane Brahmani, Brahma which is a mass of Sat and Chit, meaning this Chidram, it is homogeneous whole of existence and awareness. So Brahman which is pure existence and awareness. It is not that the existence is more here and less there and here and not there. Existence everywhere. Awareness everywhere. So Brahman such as that, Nana Jagat Garbhamidam Vyat, and so Vyat means space. So space is the first element. So here the word Vyat is used in two senses. In the first line the word Vyat is used in the sense of sky. So how the sky gets reflected in a reflecting surface along with its clouds and stars and whatever there is. And so Vyat also means space. Space is the first element. The creation actually began with space. And from the space, the air and the fire, water, earth, and then the whole universe came about. So really, the whole universe is nothing but the space in the stomach of which, in the womb of which, the whole universe is. So just as in the womb of the sky, we have the clouds and we have the stars and we have the planets, and how that sky with all that thing in its womb gets reflected in the mirror, and so also the space, in the womb of which there is whole Nam Rupatmakam Jagat, the whole universe of name and form, all of that gets reflected in Brahman, which is comparable to a mirror. And that's a beautiful example. How mirror is plain, in that you see a creation which has three dimensions. How the mirror is one, on that you see the creation which is diverse. How the mirror is pure or is plain, in that you see all kinds of crookedness, all kinds of shapes. So mirror that is formless, you see all kinds of forms. Mirror which is plain, in that you see the depths. Mirror that is colorless, in that you see many colors. So how the mirror reflects a world which is quite contrary to itself. And so the Brahman which is one reflects the creation which is multiple. Brahman which is homogeneous reflects a world, or changeless reflects a world that is changing. And there are examples. Because we get distracted. Our mind questions again and again, how is it possible? You say that Brahman is changeless, and that is the substratum of the universe which is constantly changing. How can the changeless be the substratum of the changing creation? How Brahman that is one can be substratum of the creation which is multiple or diverse? How Brahman that is pure seems to be the substratum for all kinds of impurities and evil, like a mirror is. And so, of course, the answer is that it is Maya that makes the impossible thing possible. Of course, that's the ultimate answer. So in mirror also there is Maya. And therefore, how because of the power inherent in the mirror is able to reflect this creation which is altogether different in characteristics than what it is. And so also Brahman reflects this creation which is altogether different in character from what it is. It is Sat, and they reflect the creation is Asat. Brahman is Chit, the creation is Jada. Brahman is Ananda, the creation is Dukkhatmakam. So totally contrary in character, that creation is nevertheless reflected in Brahman or superimposed in Brahman. Brahman is a substratum. It's not a simple thing. That even the essence of what we call dukkha or sorrow is ultimately Ananda. That's the whole prakarana here. What the author is discussing here is, and the purpose of the whole chapter is, it's called Advaitananda Prakaranam. That Ananda is Advaitiya, is non-dual, and all there is Ananda alone. So in the next session we will review the whole chapter, how the author has shown that all there is Brahman which is Ananda. So non-duality of Ananda, the only Ananda alone is, that means that if we analyze the nature of pain or even sorrow or sadness, it should ultimately resolve in Ananda. If Ananda is the substratum of everything, then everything should resolve in Ananda. That means what we call sorrow or sadness or pain, all of them have a certain reality. which is a reality comparable to a projection. And so the substratum of everything is the same Ananda or Brahman. And so different kind of questions are dealt with, because when you try to contemplate upon Brahman in and through the name and form, these questions arise. How is it possible that Brahman is when the names and forms are many, changing, and so on and so forth? So the example given here is of mirror. So this helps us to contemplate upon Brahman. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.